Let's revisit the tumultuous events that transpired in part 1 of My Sister Slept with My Man on Our Wedding Day. In the dimly lit hallway, Choma stumbled upon a scene that froze her in disbelief. The wedding hall buzzed with excitement, the air thick with anticipation. Choma stood at the entrance, her heart pounding with nervousness and joy. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, the day she would marry the man she loved, Chakudi. But as she took a step forward, a sight stopped her dead in her tracks. There, in the dimly lit hallway, Choma stumbled upon a scene that froze her in disbelief. Nneka, her own sister, and Chakudi, her beloved fiancé, stood locked in an embrace that no sister should ever witness. Their bodies intertwined in a way that made Choma's heart sink like a stone in water. She watched, unable to tear her eyes away, as their lips met in a fervent kiss, a kiss that shattered the world around her into a chaotic blur of emotions. Betrayal, hurt, and disbelief washed over her in waves, threatening to drown her in their merciless grip. Just when Choma thought things couldn't get any worse, fate dealt her another devastating blow. In a quiet moment amidst the chaos of the wedding preparations, Nneka approached Choma, her eyes filled with a mixture of guilt and apprehension. With trembling lips, she revealed the unthinkable: she was 3 months pregnant with Chakudi's child. Choma's world tilted on its axis as the weight of Nneka's words crashed down upon her. How could the man she loved betray her so completely, and how could her own sister be carrying his child? It felt like a cruel joke, a nightmare from which she couldn't wake up. But amidst the pain and heartache, Choma found herself facing a difficult choice. Despite the betrayal, despite the shattered dreams and broken promises, there was a tiny life growing inside Nneka, a life that deserved a chance, a future, regardless of the circumstances of its conception. So, with a heavy heart and tears streaming down her cheeks, Choma made a decision that would haunt her for years to come. She reluctantly allowed Nneka and Chakudi to marry, swallowing her own pain and heartbreak for the sake of the unborn child. As she watched them exchange vows, a bitter taste filled Choma's mouth, and she wondered if she would ever find it in herself to forgive the ones who had betrayed her so deeply. But for now, all she could do was plaster on a smile and pretend that her world hadn't come crashing down around her. Our wonderful people, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to be the first to experience the thrill of our next story. 2 months slipped by like grains of sand through an hourglass, and the once bright flame of Chakudi and Nneka's marriage flickered in the winds of misfortune. It started with a phone call, a call that shattered Chakudi's world into a million irreparable pieces. His job with the billion-dollar oil company, the cornerstone of his stability and pride, was ripped away from him with ruthless efficiency. The once steady income that had flowed into their home now trickled to a stop, leaving behind a barren wasteland of unpaid bills and mounting debts. With each passing day, the weight of their financial burden grew heavier, pressing down on Chakudi's shoulders like a leaden yoke. Sleep became a stranger, replaced by endless nights of worry and anxiety. But the troubles didn't stop there. Oh no, fate had more in store for poor Chakudi. His health, once robust and resilient, began to falter and fail him. It started with a persistent cough, a nagging ache that refused to be silenced. Then came the fevers, the chills, the unrelenting fatigue that drained him of all strength and vitality. Desperate for answers, Chakudi sought the help of medical experts, but their diagnosis only deepened the mystery surrounding his illness. Test after test, scan after scan, and still, no one could offer him a shred of solace or a glimmer of hope. The doctors scratched their heads in confusion, their brows furrowed with frustration as they pored over his test results. It was as if Chukwudi's ailment defied all logic, all reason, a riddle wrapped in an enigma, with no discernible solution in sight. And so, as the days stretched into weeks, Chukwudi found himself caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty and fear. His once steady foundation had crumbled beneath him, leaving him adrift in a sea of despair. But little did he know, the worst was yet to come. As his condition worsened, so too did his relationship with Nneka. The strain of their mounting problems wore away at the fragile threads that held them together, until there was nothing left but bitterness and resentment. Their once happy home became a battleground, filled with harsh words and stony silences. Nneka, unable to bear the weight of their crumbling marriage, lashed out in anger and frustration, blaming Chukwudi for their woes. And amidst it all, Chukwudi could only watch helplessly as his world crumbled around him, wondering if there would ever be an end to the relentless onslaught of misfortune that had befallen him. As Chukwudi's condition continued to deteriorate, Nneka's demeanor changed dramatically from distant to downright cruel. Gone was the caring wife he once knew, replaced by a stranger filled with venom and spite. Her words cut like daggers, each one aimed directly at the fragile remnants of his spirit. She mocked his weakness, belittled his pain, and dismissed his suffering as nothing more than a nuisance. But amidst the onslaught of her cruelty, Chukwudi clung to one shred of hope, the vows they had exchanged on their wedding day. For better or for worse, in sickness and in health, they had promised to stand by each other's side, come what may. And so, with a heavy heart and a trembling voice, Chukwudi reminded Nneka of those sacred vows, pleading with her to remember the love they had once shared. But his words fell on deaf ears, drowned out by the deafening roar of her anger and resentment. As the days stretched into weeks and the weeks into months, Chukwudi found himself wrestling with a question that haunted him day and night: had he married the wrong sister? The thought gnawed at him like a relentless beast, tearing at his heart with its claws of doubt and uncertainty. Had he chosen love over loyalty, desire over duty? And if so, what price would he pay for his betrayal? But even as he grappled with these questions, one thing remained painfully clear: his love for Choma, his true soulmate, had never wavered. And deep down, he knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, his heart would always belong to her and her alone. But for now, all he could do was endure the pain and suffering that engulfed him, praying for a miracle that seemed more elusive with each passing day. And as the darkness closed in around him, Chukwudi could only cling to the faint flicker of hope that still burned within his soul, praying that somehow, someway, he would find his way back to the woman he loved. As Chukwudi's illness tightened its grip on him, the once subtle symptoms began to mutate into something far more sinister. Strange lumps and bumps erupted across his skin like twisted vines, their grotesque forms twisting and writhing with a life of their own. Doctors shook their heads in bewilderment, their brows furrowed with concern as they examined Chukwudi's ever-changing condition. It was as if his body had become a canvas for some malevolent force, painting its twisted masterpiece with each passing day. Whispers of a supernatural cause danced through the corridors of the hospital, echoing off the sterile walls like the whispers of ghosts. Some whispered curses and hexes, while others spoke of demons and dark magic, but none could offer a solution to Chukwudi's plight. And amidst the chaos of his illness, Nneka's true colors began to emerge like shadows in the night. With a cold, calculating gaze, she admitted to deceiving Chukwudi about the paternity of her unborn child, revealing the truth in all its bitter glory. Her words cut through the air like a knife, leaving Chakudi reeling with shock and disbelief. How could the woman he had vowed to love and cherish betray him in such a callous manner? How could she abandon him in his time of need, leaving him to face his demons alone? But as he stared into Nneka's eyes, he saw only emptiness staring back at him, a void where once there had been love and compassion. And in that moment, Chakudi knew that he was truly alone, abandoned by the woman he had once called his wife. As the days stretched into weeks and his condition worsened, Chakudi found himself teetering on the edge of despair. But amidst the darkness that threatened to consume him, a glimmer of hope flickered in the distance, a beacon of light in the endless night. And so, with his strength waning and his spirit battered and bruised, Chakudi clung to that flicker of hope with all his might, praying that somehow, some way, he would find a way to break free from the chains that bound him and emerge from the darkness into the light once more. In the bustling streets of Lagos, Choma sought solace amidst the chaos of her shattered dreams. The weight of her heartache hung heavy around her neck, a burden too heavy to bear alone. And so, with a trembling resolve, she embarked on a journey of healing, guided by the gentle hand of therapy. Weeks turned into months as Choma poured her heart out to her therapist, Ngozi, laying bare the scars that marred her soul. With each session, the darkness that had once consumed her began to recede, replaced by a glimmer of hope, a faint promise of redemption. And amidst the tumult of her healing journey, Choma found an unexpected companion in Ngozi, whose warmth and compassion offered a beacon of light in the darkness. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, weaving a tapestry of friendship and trust that fortified Choma's spirit. But fate had more in store for Choma than mere friendship, for it was through Ngozi that she crossed paths with Emmanuel, a kind-hearted soul whose laughter danced like music in the air. He was a beacon of light in the darkness, a gentle reminder that love still lingered on the horizon, waiting to be embraced. Their love blossomed like a flower in bloom, each petal unfurling with the promise of a new beginning. Emmanuel's gentle touch melted away the walls that Choma had built around her heart, filling the void left behind by betrayal with the warmth of his affection. Yet, amidst the sweetness of their newfound love, Choma harbored a secret she dared not share with her family, lest it unravel the fragile threads of her healing. And so, she kept her heart under lock and key, guarding it fiercely against prying eyes and wagging tongues. But as the days stretched into weeks and her love for Emmanuel deepened, Choma found herself torn between the past and the present, a crossroads where old wounds met new beginnings. And as she stood on the precipice of her future, she knew that the choices she made would shape the course of her destiny, forever altering the tapestry of her life. Subscribe and share this insightful video. Let's reach 1,000 subscribers together and keep our Africa folktale adventure going. As the days melted into weeks and the weeks into months, Choma's love for Emmanuel blossomed like a flower in the warm embrace of spring. They shared laughter and tears, dreams and fears, building a future together brick by brick, hand in hand. With each passing day, their bond grew stronger, their hearts entwined like vines in a lush garden. And amidst the whispers of love that danced between them, plans for marriage began to take root, a celebration of their love, a testament to their enduring commitment. As the day of their traditional marriage ceremony dawned, Choma stood resplendent in her bridal attire, her heart fluttering with anticipation and joy. Surrounded by family and friends, she stepped forward to embrace her future, hand in hand with the man she loved. But just as the ceremony reached its crescendo, A hush fell over the crowd, a shadow that darkened the joyous occasion. There, in the midst of the gathering, sat Chokudi, a broken man in a wheelchair, his eyes filled with tears and regret. A collective gasp rose from the crowd as Chokudi's unexpected appearance shattered the illusion of happiness that had enveloped the ceremony. His words, like shards of glass, cut through the air with their raw honesty and pain, begging for Choma's forgiveness, confessing his wrongdoing. Choma's heart clenched with a mixture of emotions, anger, betrayal, and a flicker of pity for the man who had once held her heart in his hands. And as she stood frozen in indecision, torn between her past and her present, the weight of her choices pressed down upon her like a stone. In that moment, as the world held its breath, Choma's knees felt weak, her heart pulled in two directions by the echoes of her past and the promises of her future. And amidst the turmoil of her emotions, the wedding guests were left on the edge of their seats, craving resolution, desperate to know the outcome of Choma's journey of love and redemption.